It's important to refresh things, but that may be the same as displays in a store.
Right.
I put up a bunch of different posters the last couple days.
Sure.
Things like that. So it doesn't always look the same, i.e. boring, and by boring meaning invisible.
Right.
If you don't change things, nothing stands out.
In the Midwest, you know the best is there waiting, so come and join the conversation. I still approve, fan and artist and creator too. This is how the challengers do. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower.
Patrick Brower and W. Dal Bush.
W. Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal Bush.
Dal.
Dal.
W. Dal Bush.
One of the things I love about the weekly Boom email, and we get a lot of emails from Boom Studios, a lot of press releases.
Yeah, I think somehow both the store account and our individual accounts are both on Boom's email list. So I usually get, or like I think Boom sends it out and Diamond sends it out. It's very weird. I get the Boom one twice every single week.
Sure. But like there's multiple ones during the week, press releases for single issues.
Sure. I think Image is worse at that, but Boom is pretty bad too.
Yeah. But every like Friday, Boom Studios will send out an email that has a PDF link to every book they're releasing the next week.
Mm-hmm.
Every book. So I've already plowed through basically everything I was going to read for next week, except, and here's the catch, every issue of Man's Best is at such a different resolution, of so much higher resolution.
Yeah.
It doesn't load right and it doesn't scroll.
How weird.
And it takes like 30 to 40 seconds for a page to scroll, and I'm not going through that.
No, that's not good.
But for next week is a huge Boom week.
Yeah, it seems
or
like...
if it's the, like, I mean, it may not be next week. It may be like, maybe this be FOCs. I don't know. I don't remember exactly. I think it's for next week, but it's like Displaced 5, Blow Away, Uncanny Valley.
I think for me this week is the big week because I think it's I Heart Skullcrusher,
Best. And Man's, yeah, all of those.
And it's just like, and that's for a while, those have been like the same week. Because I remember the first week they came out, we were like, oh my God, there's so many good books to recommend.
Yeah.
So now, like, that same week every month, it's like, oh, it's a whole bunch of Boom stuff that I need to read.
But that makes my life a little bit easier because I've already read Uncanny Valley 3, Displaced 5, Blow Away 3, I Heart Skullcrusher 4.
Right.
It's only Man's Best 3 this week that I didn't get to.
3 or 4. I don't know.
Just because of the way it loads. But
sure.
Also, Image does the same thing. They have different PDF folders. They've got new number ones in a folder, and then they've got the weekly releases in different week release folders, and they're usually 1 to 2 weeks ahead.
Oh, neat.
So last week I read all of this upcoming week's books, but they don't have anything in the folder for the 26th yet.
Sure, okay.
And that also makes life a little easier.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly nice to be able to jump ahead on some books so that the first few days of the week are not just a crush of things that you need to read before Wednesday.
Like this week is Self-Help number 1 that I got to read. And I can't remember what else.
I was reminded by Molly Jane recently that years ago, before we had multiple distributors that were shipping us stuff all over the place and reliable PDFs from a lot of different publishers, that basically like every Tuesday night was a gigantic stack of like several dozen books.
Oh, yeah.
That needed to be read before Wednesday. And it was like, I can't even think of doing that now. When I bring home 10 books in a 2-day period, I'm like, this is too much. But once upon a time, it was like 3 times that in a night after I'd already spent like 8 hours at the store getting everything ready for the new release day.
It's just such a memory throwback to me to think of opening every product that comes out for the week in one shipment.
Right. Yeah.
And also, the shipments weren't nearly as big as they are now.
It does feel very weird. I don't know if we're getting more stuff or it just feels like more stuff because it's packed in different ways and it's coming across
packed
multiple
differently,
days.
It's spread out, but
it may or may
so
not be
much
more stuff. It may or may not be.
I can't even fathom. Like, if you look at a weekly shipment from Diamond, PRH, and Lunar, not even counting Hachette or Ingram or Restock.
Right.
Imagine just the new stuff, the way it comes now, fitting in my Jeep.
I can't.
You can't. But we did it routinely because it was packed very differently.
Very differently, yeah. The boxes were substantially more full.
I do need to warn you, and I think you already would have seen this, but there was a lot of trade damages
I saw
this upcoming week. And when I reported them, they all came back listed as back ordered, but I think that's just an automatic response because they're not actually released yet.
Maybe.
And there was also a restock of Ultimates #1. A bunch of those were damaged, but I put them under the stack of the damage reported trades to hopefully flatten them out a little bit.
Okay.
But like the trades were split spines.
Yeah,
like
that's not sellable.
They were real bad because we are very lenient on what is considered a damage.
Yeah.
Especially when it's new product for the week that we don't have on the shelf.
Yep.
But it was all of our Oddly Pedestrian Life of Christopher Chaos. It was a hardcover Critical Role book that was split on the front part of the thing. Captain America Epic Collection, The Winter Soldier.
Great.
Like 2 more books as well.
That sucks.
Yeah. And then I guess there was something that came in on Thursday, also a new PRH book from that Molly checked in that was also damaged.
That's not good.
So they're all reported, but they are also still sitting on the back counter. I just wanted to let you see the extent of the damage.
That's cool.
Not that you have any doubts to it, but just that it goes beyond the normal bent corners.
I would assume, since we're usually on the same page as far as what's worth reporting and what isn't.
Yeah. And then also in the back, and there's a note on it, there is a $100 Dungeons & Dragons, the making of Dungeons & Dragons from 1972-1977 book. Its on sale date isn't until Tuesday.
Okay. It's in the special order book, too. It's a special order.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh.
It was a non-club special order.
That's weird, because I remember ordering one just for the shelf. So I guess that person asked for it after the fact.
They definitely did, yeah. I think you had mentioned, like, I think you'd mentioned we'd ordered it. So it was just like, all right.
I would order another one.
Well, we still can.
Yeah. Maybe. Who knows what we can.
Maybe we're getting it from somebody else as well. I don't know.
But the moral of my story is that because it doesn't go on sale until Tuesday, it is in the system as a draft product.
Oh, okay. It wasn't receivable through Managed Comics?
I didn't try because it came from Summit Hobby.
Yeah, but it might be a publisher that Managed Comics already has in their system.
Okay, just because it's Wizards of the Coast stuff, I don't know that we normally ever...
I mean, D&D stuff we would always receive through Managed Comics.
Well, that's because we were getting it from PRH.
Right, but I'm just saying, like, if they have that data from somebody else, I don't know.
Well...
I don't know.
Again, I built it from scratch.
Okay.
So, if you want to delete that version and...
No, I mean, if it's in the system, it's in the system. But just, I would always check Managed Comics just for anything we get in, just in case, to save the effort.
Yeah, for whatever reason, I never do for gaming stuff.
Okay.
But I will from now on.
I think it's worth the extra seconds.
One of the things that Crystal had asked at the bar last night was, what are 3 things you learned today? And
here's something I learned tonight on an episode of Collision, and I thought it was very funny.
Okay.
Nigel McGuinness was talking about Bryan Danielson, and of course how much he dislikes him and how bad of a person Bryan Danielson is. But he had this line.
I'm sorry, I cut you off when you said what kind of...
He's just a bad person that he doesn't like. That Bryan Danielson is a terrible human being and just awful in every way. So he had this line that I thought was really funny. And it was how Bryan Danielson can't commit to anything. Like, he wanted his whole family to be vegan, but he had to give it up because he couldn't stop eating brie.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
That's horrible.
That got on the air on Collision.
Wow. Wow.
So I learned that.
Wow. My goodness. I feel like we need to censor that on this podcast. Holy cats.
There's a kill shot from Nigel McGuinness on Collision.
Wow. There's got to be
I
some.
learned that today.
There's got to be some blowback to that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Dal, there's been a lot of activity and discussion amongst ourselves, but also amongst the listeners and other coworkers of ours about our shelf sponsorship idea.
Everyone's talking about it.
You know what? Everyone's talking about it. And I would just like to initially thank for their input Josh Crowley, Heidi D, Nicholas Fenner, listeners, patrons.
The above, you mean?
Yes.
Not just generally listeners and patrons.
But
I mean,
also,
those few in particular.
Alex Chung, who sent a lot of detail about sponsorship of opportunities available to him in his town and the way that they run those.
Yeah, it was nice to kind of see what the program looks like to other people in other places, because it's something that I don't think either one of us have ever personally sponsored something.
Yeah.
So a lot of what we were doing was just how do we think that program would work? And that's kind of gotten us into trouble before, because we then are not kind of meeting people where they live. So
we just think we have a way and let's do it our way.
So it's nice to know what the expectations are and what people are willing to get from a program like that and what they're willing to pay for a program like that.
And then also a lot of suggestions from Kelly Sue.
Oh, that was nice.
And in specifically, as we were talking about the Music Box sponsorship, they sponsor their local theater.
Okay.
But it's not a reserved seating theater.
Mm-hmm.
Like you show up and you're like, oh, I'll take that seat.
Sure.
But their sponsorship gets them seats.
Oh, okay.
And they can call ahead and say, hey, we're coming to the show tonight.
Uh-huh.
They get those seats.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
So we're not necessarily going to start this program immediately.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some stuff we want to work on our end, but we've done a lot of work on it this week as well. And I think, are you comfortable if we discuss the basics?
Yeah, for sure. I think we've nailed down the particulars.
So we decided that individual shelf sponsorship would be an easy $1,000. No.
Paid weekly.
Yeah, paid weekly. So basically what it's come down to, and Kelly Sue had some fun ideas about having people sponsor, I want to sponsor the X-Men section or the Avengers section or the Dazzler section, of which there is not one, but there will be soon.
So Entertainment Weekly, I think, had some reporting where they had talked to people in the know at Marvel and said, Taylor Swift is definitely not playing Dazzler.
Swerve
is not playing Dazzler either, as far as I know, nor is Taylor Swift playing Swerve.
But you don't know.
But
also, the Swerve it's Prince Nana.
So typical for these sorts of insider reports. Now the counter argument is, well, them putting that out there as Taylor Swift not playing Dazzler means Taylor Swift is definitely playing Dazzler.
Yep.
So it's whatever. Okay.
Sure.
Movie's coming out in a month and a half. We'll all find out.
Here's the joke, Dal. She's playing Alison Blair. I almost said Alison Brie, and then I had to stop and say, no, that's a real person.
It is a real... Well, could be playing her, too. There's a lot of multiverse stuff. The other background rumor is that Blake Lively is playing Lady Deadpool.
Okay.
Which is kind of cute.
Yeah, that is.
Anyway.
Are there kids playing Kid Pool?
Maybe.
Is there a Kid Pool? Did I make that up?
I'm sure there's a Kid Pool.
There's a kiddie pool.
Okay.
And also getting different genres to not fight against each other, but be like, oh,
who has the most sponsors?
Yeah,
sure,
things like that.
That makes sense.
Which I mean is it's a fun idea, but the shelf breakdowns, it's only an even matchup if it's horror versus crime
or percentages.
Yeah,
80% of the horror shelf is sponsored, but only 60% of the superhero shelves are sponsored. It's kind of cute.
Yeah, that's a good idea. So here's what it breaks down to. $125 for a shelf sponsorship. From this point on, when we say shelf sponsorship, what we mean is bookcase sponsorship. An actual 6-shelf bookcase. You're sponsoring the whole bookcase.
5 shelves.
No, 6 shelves.
I don't think that's right.
No, I think that's 6.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what one of the things was. It's not an even number of shelf per case. Like we're only
Wouldn't 6 be even though?
right, but we're only allowing 5 per shelf because of the space available across the top.
Oh no, I mean there's 5 there's 5 shelves in the bookcase.
There's 6 shelves in the bookcase.
Okay.
We're at a point right now where we both think we're right, and
just moving on.
Yeah, but I mean, I was there. I counted.
Okay.
That so. We'll get back to the
sure.
So when we say shelf, we mean bookcase, the entire unit.
Sure.
And we're allowing up to 5 people per bookcase to sponsor one bookcase, or our vernacular, one shelf.
Right.
It is a 5-year sponsorship. We didn't want to make it lifetime because we can't guarantee that everything's going to stay the same way, the way that it is now.
One note that I think we should probably have on the listing is that your sponsorship will be displayed in the store for 5 years. I cannot guarantee it's going to be on the bookshelves for 5 years. Like there's a version of this where we may have to rotate things around, and suddenly we have more sponsorships than we do visible shelves, and that means the sponsorship will move someplace else in the store that will be visible. We'll make sure of that. It may not actually be on the bookshelf past a certain point. I cannot and will not guarantee that.
But at this point, we don't foresee that happening.
No. But I want that to be in the language so that if we have to do this, people don't go, but I thought I was getting. It's like, well, I can't see the future and I don't want to pretend that I can.
Initially, we're limiting the sponsorship to our 16 6-foot, 7-foot, how tall are the shelves?
I think they're like 6 foot.
Bookcases. The red metal Sandusky ones that are in the main floor of Challengers. We're not necessarily doing sponsorships for the drama shelves, the humor shelves, because they're half-size, little ones, and
I'd be okay with that.
The lips are too small.
Well, we could just do less. I think we could still do like
the height of the lip is too small.
Right, but I mean, like we couldn't do. I think we probably have to design them a little differently.
Yeah.
But we could probably do that.
And we could, but I just feel like
I wouldn't do it day one. I mean, I just think it's a possibility.
Yeah, and also we're not taking any sponsorships for the shelves and sidekicks, mainly because they're wood, and the plaque system we have is very specific for metal shelves, and the design is different.
I think we could probably come up with something where we could use the metal ones, but it adhered in maybe a different way or something.
Yeah, it would have to be like removable putty or something.
Something like that. But I think that's viable if there's an interest.
Yeah, if there's interest or not. But I mean, as of right now, what we're opening it up to is 80 sponsorship spots. And I don't foresee those 80 going.
Probably not in like a very short time frame now.
Right. I mean, that'd be great if it was.
Oh, yeah. It's a fun problem to solve.
To recap, one of the reasons we're doing this is because we're taking a cue from places like the Music Box and like Flying Colors Comics and other cool stuff in Concord, California. A lot of C's.
Yeah, right.
And it's to get money to make improvements to the store that we want to do but are not at the top of the financial list.
Yeah, it's to facilitate beautification projects for the store.
Ooh, to facilitate beautification.
Yeah, definitely things that we'd like to do. Nothing that's mission critical, which is why we haven't done it yet. Nothing is currently on fire, knock on wood. But there's definitely things that, when we were a little bit more flush with cash during the pandemic boom years, we were able to do things like, let's redo our carpeting. Let's do some
big one.
Let's do some new signage. Let's do these other things. And like Patrick has maybe mentioned on previous podcasts, we'd love to get our lights
completely
fixed,
done.
be upgraded.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff that's burned out and a lot of things that we, essentially the way that our lights are done in the store was fine 16 years ago when the store is being built, but now is kind of not something anyone can fix or manage for us.
Yeah, we can't just keep fixing these ballasts and units. It's time to...
It's not how lights are made anymore.
It's time to get rid of fluorescent lighting.
Yeah, it's time to move into the 21st century. So that's, stuff like that. But just there's a whole lot of, that's a big project, but there's a ton of small projects that we would love to have, a few extra $100 here or there to be able to go, oh, we can fix this. Oh, we can restock that.
Dying
oh, we
to
can
finish
whatever.
My Sidekick's renovation in my head, which is a whole bunch of bookshelves we need for that.
Yeah. So again, it's a lot of stuff like that.
I'm going to talk right here for a
nice.
second about one of my favorite new Taskmaster tasks.
Oh, okay.
And it's relevant to lighting. You come into the lab, which is just like an empty white room with plastic sheeting up as the door and an oak table.
Okay.
Completely white room.
Got it.
A lot of tasks happen in the lab.
Oh, okay.
On the table is a fish bowl with like a little castle and a little motorized fish swimming around.
Okay. But water? No water?
Yeah, the water.
Water? Okay.
And the task is next to it.
Okay.
And Tom, the Taskmaster's assistant, this is Taskmaster Australia.
Okay.
He's there waiting for you. People walk in, they say, hey, Tom, what's going on? And right when they pick up the task, the light starts flickering.
Okay.
And he's like, oh, that's not supposed to happen. Hold on. A worker comes in with a ladder, climbs up on the ladder, messes around with the screwdriver. He's like, oh, it's a loose wire. Tom has to go run out and grab a tool for the guy. Comes back in, gives him the screwdriver, tightens it up, lights back on, gets on a ladder, leaves.
Okay.
Open the task. Describe the man with the ladder.
Okay.
There's a little canvas board on an easel. Draw him.
Okay.
It is a brilliant task because the majority of the contestants didn't look at him, turned their back to him.
Yep.
One guy actually talked to him. He's like, are those LEDs? The guy's like, no, they're fluid. And the guy's like, not fluid. Yeah. So, I mean, it's just what happened since then. There were 11 specific characteristics. Like he was in jean shorts, a cutoff shirt. He had like a handlebar mustache.
Okay.
Like a barbed wire tattoo.
I guess maybe in Australia that doesn't sound so weird.
Chain on his wallet. No, it's very weird. Gold tooth. Like all these different affectations.
Sure.
You could do, but it was, what?
Right. People just ignored him.
Yeah. So I'm not going to tell you how people did, but some of it's absolutely hilarious.
Nice.
But there was some very outside of the box thinking on that one.
Sure.
And one person who really embarrassed themselves pretty great.
That's good.
But of course I thought of that because it was a blinking fluorescent light, which we kind of have.
We have.
As the lighting.
They're not really blinking, but they definitely are unreliable somewhat.
Friday, I didn't notice it today, but Friday there was a new ballast hum and more lights out.
Oh.
But I didn't hear it today, and I can't remember if those lights are out or not.
Sure.
So yeah, that is definitely a project we want done. Now, one of the issues with that is that Dow and I have different ideas of what the new lighting would be, or how much of it.
I don't remember. We haven't talked about it seriously in a while because it's not been viable in a while. So I don't remember what my stance would have been. So I can come to this fresh.
My idea was to just use the same fixtures but reconvert them to LEDs.
Okay.
And then have LED bulbs in.
Okay.
You wanted less lighting and softer lighting.
Oh, I mean, yeah, but I can understand the financial realities of the situation. So if it's cheaper and faster to do it your way, that's fine.
I mean, I thought I knew how to do it myself, and I do per single light fixture, not ones that are strung together for 4 foot, for 16 feet of lights through one.
So, I mean, either way, this is something we would have to bring a professional in for.
Yes,
right?
definitely.
So, I mean,
and we're also open to their suggestions as to what they think
so
is better.
I would probably put a pin in it until we A, have money for it, and then B, have a professional that is willing to come in and do it, and then we can have a discussion of what are our options?
So a while
How
ago,
does this look?
I started looking into this and was soliciting advice from electricians. We got burned by one electrician, Andy Barrios,
not literally,
who I've tried to bury.
We got financially.
We paid a deposit, and he never ever did the work.
He didn't literally burn us. Electricians can do that. You can get burns, but this wasn't that.
But I do have some good suggestions from good people as
Nice.
to somebody, a couple of people we could talk to if we needed to.
That's cool. The problem is they'll need money and we don't have it yet. But maybe
Yeah.
if we get sponsorships, we can do it.
Yeah. So realistically, the improvements that we make are based off of the sponsorships we do get.
Yeah, I definitely think, I mean, there isn't a hard list yet because I don't think we have any idea of what a sponsorship thing could bring in
Right.
overall or in what increments. But I think in our heads we have an idea of like what is step one, and then, you know, if there's a step 2, 3, and 4, I think we have general ideas of like where we would want that money to go.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, the lighting is probably the biggest project I can think of right now.
I think the first thing I would do would be the Sidekicks bookshelves because they're the cheapest and the fastest.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly something that isn't dependent on an outside contractor or anything like that, and doesn't require, you know, a ton of night work or morning work or day work or whatever that electrician would need to fix to upgrade the lighting. Like,
Speaking of night work or day work,
yes,
while talking with the duct cleaners,
I saw.
They would need to do all of their work
Not during store hours.
before or after hours.
I saw.
So I know, but the people listening. So I reached back out and said, rough estimate, how much time would you need? Because that is a major factor on how we schedule it.
Because this is for us and
Black River.
So like we would have to coordinate. Both places would have to not be operational, and they have different hours than we do.
Right.
And different busy hours than we do.
Yeah. So once we have an idea of how long they think it'll take, we can talk to Black River and figure it out.
Okay.
But yeah, it's Black River wasn't keen on the idea of having the duct cleaner come out while they were open. I didn't care so long as it wasn't a Wednesday.
Well, I mean, the advantage for us is that our store is very big. So even if they had come during store hours, they'd probably, again, if it was like a Tuesday or something where we're not that busy, they wouldn't necessarily be in the way because our store is large enough to accommodate them. But if they were doing it in Black River, like Black River's not that big. So a couple guys on ladders or whatever is pretty much, you know, going to get in the way of them cutting hair.
Usually, and we have used this company before, but not for a commercial, it's just one person doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I was looking at the Black River vents as to where they would have to do their taping off and their pumping.
Yeah.
And it's not by anybody's chair.
Yeah, but I think it maybe has more to do with like the vibe in there.
Yeah.
I think they probably not want their clients to be getting their haircut while someone is banging away at the ceiling or even just like applying different stuff to the wall.
I understand what you're saying. And
I'm speculating. They might not care
normally
at all.
you would be right for most businesses, but as someone who's gotten his haircut regularly in Black River and been privy to or party of some of the conversations that go on there, that is a very different vibe where I don't like people, whether they like it or not, are part of something else.
Sure. I mean, I wasn't suggesting that like everything is pin drop quiet and no one has admin conversations.
No, I know.
It's more just like
the intrusion or the
like if they were, you know, I don't.
My
cleaning
point is
the ducts is not super loud, but it's still a thing of like if you're trying to have a conversation with other people or if you're trying to have little discussions and then someone is doing a bunch of construction-y or maintenance things, it's like, this is not fun.
My point was just that it's hard, I think, to offend the clientele there.
Sure.
Like, I mean, if you are deliberately trying to, I'm sure it's pretty easy, but just doing your regular work, I don't think people are going to be that bothered.
Yeah.
Who can ever say, though, people get bothered by a lot of things, which would be a great segue to a customer story. I don't have one.
Aw, boo.
I'm not setting anything up. I'm sorry to get your hopes up. But basically, the sponsorships will be done through the website, just like you're buying something online.
You can do them in store, too.
Yeah, sure.
It's all just one thing. So if you are a local customer and we roll this program out, you don't have to do it through the website. You can just come in and do it. We'll set you up.
The graphic that I made that you saw was to scale.
Okay, cool.
It's the right sizing and I was going to say estimate of placement. That's just one, though. We could have up to 5 across. And yeah, based off of your feedback, I will go through and set up some temp ones. And
yeah, again, I just think it would be nice to have something physical to show people who do come into the store, because I would assume a lot of the early adopters would be people who are regular customers.
Yeah.
So being
Sure.
able to show them like, hey, this is the thing, and this is what it's going to look like, and this is what your name will, you can kind of visualize it, and then it makes you more likely to say yes or no, as opposed to a picture on a website where it's like, I don't know if this is what it's going to be.
Maybe I'll do a custom domain that we can hot link to.
You don't have to do a custom domain. We have a website. It's fine. We'll put it front and center on the website as soon as it's available.
And then wait for it. QR code.
Oh, wow.
I mean, look,
Way in
we
the
are
future.
as technically advanced as a web store can be.
On the
This
information
is
superhighway.
going to be me sounding like a dick. So every day. But
I mean, wait, no.
I
What?
was looking at websites of other comic book shops that use Shopify as their storefront.
Okay.
And I honestly think ours looks the best.
Thanks. One of the things I was thinking about recently, and this is a nice segue. It's been a while.
Superhero burgers?
It's on our website. Was since we've had this design for a year, I'm not thinking about changing the template, but what I am thinking about is maybe altering from like a dark mode to a light mode.
Okay, see now, I understand your reasoning behind that.
I'm not decided one way or another.
Sure.
It's mostly just like a,
I want you to look at other stores' sites that are light mode.
Mhm.
And one of the things I love about ours is how the dark mode pops immediately.
it's really a huge advantage to it.
Yeah.
One of the
Like,
downsides.
I'm not a dark mode fan on the backdrops of the checkout screen on our website, and you always change things to dark mode. I'm like, I like it better as light mode.
Sure.
But our website is so much better in dark mode.
Yeah, so I mean, there's pros and cons. There's definitely some behind the scenes cons. One of them is that we had to do a lot of tweaking to different programs to get everything looking nice on the dark mode. And even then, there's a couple things where it's like, I should reach out to the developers of some of this stuff and see if I can get them to do something about this. But what it means is that a lot of the upgrades that happen to our stores, our storefronts template, we can't upgrade, because if we upgrade, it's going to break all the things that we had manually fixed on the previous version.
Yeah.
So we would have to reach out to multiple developers to say, hi, can you fix this? And that may take a little while. That may take several days. So it's several days of, hi, this thing doesn't display right, or you can't read this thing, or whatever. So I've only done like upgrades on our template like once or twice, and it's over the last year. And it's only because the template introduces something where I'm like, no, we have to have that. Like, not like a bug fix, but like a new feature where I thought, God, yes. I think one of them is like being able to schedule when online gift cards go out.
Yeah. That would be nice.
Yeah, I think you can do that now.
Okay.
I think. Or there was a thing where
I do like stores that let you do that. Like if
Yeah.
you're buying it for a specific occasion, you want it on their birthday.
yeah,
On someone's birthday, perhaps.
perhaps
On a random day
a birthday.
that might be someone's
Mhm.
birthday.
The Ides of June even. So there's stuff like that behind the scenes that makes it a little tricky to have a kind of a dark mode template. But there's times I think, like, I look at other websites on my phone and I think most people don't use a dark mode. Like, it's very few stores do that now. I think that was maybe a thing that was more the common thing a few years ago, or maybe whatever, and then people shifted and the whole aesthetic has shifted into like a light mode thing. So I think about changing it in terms of that, where it's like, are we out of step with the Zeitgeist as far as like what people think of when they're navigating a store on their phone? Because most people are doing online shopping on their phones now. We have data to show that as far as our website.
Yeah.
So mostly when I'm thinking of it, it's just like, the pros, like you said, are that I think things pop a little bit better. They look a little better. It's easier to enjoy the images of comics, and so much of what people are deciding on is like the cover of a book, kind of. So I don't know. I was throwing it out there mostly as it's been a while. Is it time for a change? Would this be a good change, or is it going to make things a little worse? So throwing it out there.
First of all, Dow, enough is not enough.
Well,
It's not time for a change.
time for a change.
Is there a specific phrase for the technology of backlighting a TV?
Bias lighting.
So I think that's kind of what works for the website. It's bias lighting.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
it's like
The contrast.
yeah. And again, up until we had a dark mode website, I didn't care for dark modes.
Mhm.
Never thought of something I cared about. But just this week, looking at many, like 10
Sure.
sites, I thought ours really popped the best.
Nice. Okay.
Is it conceivable to reach out to these developers preemptively and say, hey, we haven't upgraded because we've dark mode, and do you have the ability to fix this if we were to?
So I mean, it's all stuff that
You won't know it's broken until
no. I
you
mean,
change it.
like basically, like the problem is, some of the fonts and colors are generated internally by Shopify's website, and some of them are a result of plugins. The ones by plugins, they don't know that we've changed background colors and stuff, so they just think, okay, well, the color for this pagination or this heading is black. They assume that the background of your site is any color other than black. So if you make it black, suddenly that doesn't work. And then you have to go to them and say, hi, can you make this font and this pagination white instead? Because now I can't read it. So it's not that they can't do it. It's just that I have to remember all of the different plugins that don't work right or
and all the specific
readable.
examples.
And then once I see it, once we've changed it or once we've upgraded and I change the colors again, because once I update the site, it usually goes to like the default mode for everything. So I have to go, no, the background is this color, the header is this color, the title of a font is this color, blah, blah, blah.
Well, I think if we want to be consistent to Challenger's colors, we need to revert back to a red background with white text.
Oh, yeah.
That's what everybody would want.
Everybody wants it.
Softer on the eyes.
Super readable. Goes well with all the different comic covers. Yeah, sure. Yeah, again, this wasn't, I'm dying to do it. It was mostly just throwing it out there. So if anyone has any feedback on that, they can always submit it to Patrick through the Patreon or other places.
Or email challengers@challengerscomics.com, and we both get it.
I think we shut that website down.
I don't think so.
No?
You just were talking about how you were getting event cleaning emails.
Well, yeah, it's true.
And one of the reasons I don't think that it's necessarily necessary to change the
Color scheme?
No, the whole template for the website is that
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't going to do that.
there's such a range of differences we can change for the individual levels or whatever. I can't think of words right now. As you scroll down, you've got hey, here's this section of
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really even thinking about it in terms of like a new template because A, a new template is expensive, and B, a new template is
a lot of work.
A lot of work. Not that I mind a lot of work when it's for a obvious, visible upgrade, but this would just be, I feel like, just a lateral move. So it was mostly in terms of like changing the color scheme is very easy to do. And if you were like, oh my God, yes, I'd be like, all right, well, maybe we'll do this. But if you're not into it and I'm not convinced either way, then it's like, we'll do it how it is. We had recently moved around a bunch of stuff on the website. Not moved around a lot, but I updated all the photos. I would like to, at some point, maybe take some more internal photos of the store, because I don't think we have any of those on our website, and it'd be nice to have some of those again.
It's funny. I could not remember the name of a specific comic shop employee at a different comic shop, and it was driving me and Marcus on crazy last night. I'm like, I'm just going to go to the website and look. Well, that particular store has revamped all of their location pages and pulled all of the employee photos and bios.
Oh, okay.
So
I mean, we don't have that either. We just have a Challengers is, and we have a bunch of names.
But we also have every current employee, and Giraffe has a library.
That's true. I forgot about that.
With wonderful illustrations by Giorgio Brooks.
Yeah.
So that's available. Although several of them have outdated hairstyles.
Oh, yeah.
That are corrected on the weekly Thursday email that goes out, but not on the Friday email.
Okay.
And most likely will change shortly again as well.
Some of them pretty frequently.
Who knows? But Dal, going back to what you're saying about the website and about needing to fix it, I would like to quote the immortal words of Gregory Harges, known as Lizzie Borden.
Oh, okay.
From the band
Lizzie Borden.
Starwood. If it ain't broke, break it.
That is how we've done the website a bunch of times, is breaking it. I don't. So the difficult thing with thinking about upgrading the website nowadays is that once upon a time the website was largely just an extension of the store's vibe.
Attitude is what I was going to say.
More than anything else, it didn't serve a direct purpose. The mission statement of it kind of kept changing. There were times where it was more like socially oriented as far as like trying to bring customers together. There's times where it was more about like reviews and kind of trying to create more discussion of individual comics and stuff. There's times where it was just like a collection of more photo oriented, like events and stuff from the store. And there are times where it's just like a landing page where it's like, hi, if you wanted to know where Challengers is, here's where we are. But obviously with the pandemic and needing to be kind of as Brian from Managed Comics would put it, brick and click. I don't want to do too much to break the website because that makes money now.
Yeah.
So
it has a very specific purpose that will probably never change.
Yeah, I definitely don't want to do anything that's going to be like, oh, now people can't buy comics as well as they used to. Like,
it's important to refresh things, but that may be the same as displays in a store.
Right.
I put up a bunch of different posters the last couple days.
Sure.
Things like that. So it doesn't always look the same, i.e. boring, and by boring meaning invisible.
Right.
If you don't change things, nothing stands out.
Yeah, I like you were saying before, I can definitely foresee a version where I was going to say if, but I'm going to say once I have a better idea of how I'd want to change around the front page, like that could definitely happen where things, as you scroll down, are in different places or maybe feature different products or rotate in a different way. All of that's possible. I just would need to kind of have a firmer grasp of what I would want it to look like.
And change for the sake of change, no, but change because you have a specific goal.
Yeah.
That's a whole different thing.
Yeah. So that's possible, but again, not something I would do quickly or rashly because again, I don't want people to stop buying comics on the website.
Yeah.
I would like them to keep doing that. That is a good revenue stream.
I like when people buy comics.
I do too.
I like when people get excited about comics. I like when people bring their friends in to buy comics.
That's pretty fun. There was a group of youngsters, and I say that because they were probably under 30, who had stopped by the store.
They're basically children as far as I'm concerned.
Right. Any 29-year-old is basically a fetus. So a bunch of youngsters came in, and I'd seen them before in a different configuration, and it turns out that one of them, anytime her friends are in town or she has people that she knows who are in town, she always brings them into the store.
Oh, that's great.
And I thought it was very nice of her. It was very considerate. I thanked her for that. And I told her that I'm glad that we are a place that she can hang out with her friends.
Yeah.
So it's nice when that stuff happens.
I wish that same could be said for you.
Most of them bought stuff.
Yeah.
So that's even better. This was not a story that ends with them saying nice things and then not buying anything and me being like, I can't pay my rent off of that.
Hello. This is a brief interlude with not only myself, Patrick, but with
George,
my brother, and we are here to shamelessly shill for the Alzheimer's 5K that we are a part of coming up in September.
September 15th at North Central College in Naperville, Illinois.
We have literally just buried our parents, and we are making this plea now to remind you that we are raising money for Alzheimer's, and you can visit my page at rememberingfrances.com. That's Frances spelled Frances, rememberingfrances.com. And you can visit the team page at forfran.com. That's FOURFRAN.com. And George's own page.
Yeah, that's act.alz.org/go-to.
Yeah, just go to forfran. Just go to forfran.com
and you can
scroll down and you can pick George. George, why are we doing this?
We're doing this to raise money for care, for awareness, and to find a cure. Because of the top 6 diseases in the country, this is the only one that has no survivor. so far. We are looking for that first survivor.
But it's conceivable in our lifetime.
It could be. Some significant advances were made in the last year, and 2 new drugs came out. There had been, to this point, nothing that could slow the progression, and these have shown some very good progress in that. So it could happen in our lifetime.
And as you know, this is important to us because our mother passed away 4 years ago from this terrible disease. So we've been doing all we can since then. George especially, who's co-chair for this now.
Well, we've done away with the chair people, so I am just on the walk committee.
Oh, I see.
This is since 2019.
What does that mean for your responsibility load? Same. Yeah. So anyway, you can help us out by donating at rememberingfrancis.com or forfriend.com, and we'd appreciate it.
Yes, very much so. Please, whatever you can give is acceptable. Thank you.
We had someone in today, yoga mat under their arm.
Well,
Immediately
we are in
sees,
Bucktown.
Yep. Immediately sees the magazine-sized bags and boards on the counter. Goes to look at them. And I'm like, hey, can I help you? You're looking for?
Did you have a bag and a board for my yoga mat? I'm sorry, we do not.
No, they were specifically looking for magazine bags and boards.
Sure.
They happened to see that immediately. I'm like, well, what kind
Great.
of stuff are you trying to bag and board? Magazines. I'm like, here they are, 40 cents each individually, but we have packages of 100. All of our supplies are that way. Whatever you're looking for. Look around. They have a partner with them or someone. Mm-hmm. They come up and they're buying a stack of magazine bags and boards. Mm-hmm. They just compliment the store to no end, like how clean it is, how organized it is, how it was easy to find stuff, how helpful we are. And I'm like, this is great. I really wish you didn't reek of pot.
Once again, it's Bucktown, so you know.
But I mean, are you going to yoga or coming from? Like, did you immediately have to spark up outside of the yoga studio?
Have you not heard of high yoga?
Or
it's
was
a new
that
twist on hot yoga? But it's everyone's super high.
You have to. You need flame for high yoga, I guess. So it's kind of like hot yoga. But do you need to be high to stretch out more?
I assume it makes you more limber. I don't know.
Maybe it's like mental yoga.
Oh, well, yoga. I think the relaxation element of it has a component. I think.
Sure. Yeah, I'm like, man, thank you so much. Your compliment would go a little further.
My favorite version of yoga that I've seen people do through videos on the internet is dog yoga. And it's basically just a bunch of puppies running around and knocking them over and getting really involved. And I just thought, is this helpful? This does not seem like it's effective as far as yoga because you're doing these poses and the dog just runs up and starts licking people's faces and being underneath people. It's this is bad, but it's cute because it's dogs.
I just assumed it was all related to downward dog or something.
I did see a video of a woman and her dog doing simultaneous yoga.
That's pretty great.
There's a bit where the woman's rolling out the mat to get started and then the dog is with its nose rolling out its own mat. And the dog just watches her and just does the moves that she does. I mean, obviously she trained the dog to do it, but it's still very cute. It's a cute video.
Are you sure the dog didn't just learn by watching?
This did not seem like it was the first time the dog was doing these things.
Right, but I mean, it learned it by watching it over and over.
Right, but I think there was...
I learned by watching you, or... Right, watching Roo!
I think it was a little bit like the dog probably had interest, and then she was like, oh, this will be a viral video. And guess what it was?
You saw it?
I did.
Did you find it or someone sent it to you?
I found it.
Okay.
There is an Imgur tag that I follow, which is, I think it's just AWW. And it's mostly cute animal videos, but sometimes people have their baby and I'm scroll past that. I don't care about that. But it's a lot of gifs of dogs and cats being friends or whatever. One of my favorite, I'm going to just talk about this for a second. One of my favorite genres of cute animal videos is when pets get their own pets, where an older pet thinks the new pet is their dog or their cat, and they get really possessive of it. I find that very adorable. I've seen a few videos where it's family gets new little, the start of the video was this one dog was the only dog for the family, and it had a stuffed animal of a specific breed of dog that it was not. So the family, I guess, got a second dog that was the breed of that stuffed animal toy, and the dog just went crazy for it. The old dog was like, you got me a dog, thank you. And it's just, a clip video of this dog treating the new dog like its own pet. It's great.
I saw a video of a very thickly furred cat laying down,
Mm-hmm.
like with his paws in front of it,
Mm-hmm.
and the owner reaches in like under the chest where the hands are folded
Mhm.
and pulls out a parakeet
Ah,
and lets it go. The parakeet immediately runs back in. Like that is where it lives. It lives under this cat's chest.
there was a quick 2-part video that I saw. It was a guy in the UK. He would take his dog for a walk, and I guess they would pass by like kind of a seaside like vacation resort sort of thing. And there would be an arcade, and in the arcade, there was like a claw game, and the thing in the claw game, one of them was a stuffed animal of like a seagull with French fries in its mouth or something.
On point,
The dog,
especially for a resort.
the dog loved it. Was like always like jumping up against the glass to like look at it, and like so the dog owner's like, I'm gonna try and win it for him. So it's this video of this guy like
Spending 50 pounds.
winning tickets to like, I guess because you could also, instead of just like,
Oh, you can earn it.
you could earn it. So he was like getting all these tickets, and eventually like, got enough tickets, got the stuffed seagull, gives it to the dog. The dog immediately like loves it, won't put it down, has it the whole time. So that video goes viral. So there's a second video where this guy's like, hey, so I had this video where I got my dog this stuffed animal it really liked, and everybody saw it and they really loved it. And they started sending the dog more versions of that stuffed animal. So it's all these packages of like, because I guess that specific variety of stuffed animal was available a lot of different ways.
Okay.
So it's like small ones and big ones, and like the dog, it loves them. It's like they have a whole little display of them and laid out on the floor, and the dog has to like sniff all of them and chew on all of them. He loves all of them. But then they're like, hey, and there's this last package we got, and they have the dog open the package, and the package is the same design but massive, like almost the size of the dog. And the dog loves it. And it's like dragging it up the stairs, sleeping with it.
Just the package?
No, like the actual, the stuffed animal. The stuffed animal is as big as the dog is. And it was adorable. It's an adorable 2-part video.
This is going to blow your mind, but I'm going to segue a tiny bit and talk about terrestrial radio.
Okay.
Specifically, can you guess the station?
BBC Radio 1?
Rock 95.5 Chicago.
Oh, that one.
An actual Chicago-based radio station. There is a DJ
The only
named
one you don't hate.
Maria Palmer, who every Thursday does Thirst Days.
Okay.
And there's a little jingle.
It's cute.
That she has. Rock 95.5 Thursday. It's about drinking and listening to the radio. But she does viral videos for it, and somebody sent her like a tambourine.
Okay.
And then she did an unboxing of using tambourine, like of getting the tambourine, and then Thursday she used it in the jingle.
Mm-hmm.
That opened the floodgates of people just sending her all sorts of musical instruments, from mouth harps to glockenspiels to like ceramic or wooden frogs that you like take a little hammer, like a little
mallet.
Yeah, and just rub it up and down it, and it sounds like it's croaking.
Oh.
Like to like just dozens and dozens of instruments.
Jesus.
And that's very similar to the dog getting 1,000 versions of that toy.
Yeah.
And I thought, how can we weaponize that? But I haven't found a way.
Well, I mean, you get a lot of Captain America stuff.
My mom
I
and dad.
get a lot of Kamen Rider stuff.
Yeah. No, I didn't mean that. I didn't mean like, I meant like, how do we get promotion for the store that way? Like
sending stuff to them that.
Well, like, so my first thought was, what if I sent her a Saga graphic novel, and she like did a video of her opening that and mentioned Challengers?
Maybe.
But then, like, how do we weaponize that level of social investment into what she's doing, into what we're doing? And that's kind of hopefully the sponsorship aspect of this.
I mean, that's kind of apples and oranges, though. Like, we have a lot of social media followers relative to other comic shops. The problem is a lot of them we have because of the wrestling stuff we've done.
Right. So,
like, there's attention, and then there's a way to monetize that attention, and those are not the same thing. So it's something where, kind of like going on, like, to use a different example, like the times that you had for what was the 24-hour comics day, or like the day that you had like the few artists in, and it was like WGN or somebody was out.
Oh, local comic shop day.
Was it local comic
Yeah.
shop day? Okay. I was going to say that, but I'm like, I don't think that was right. But it was. And all you get because of that is people calling up saying, hey, I saw this on TV. Do you buy comics?
Right.
And it's like,
yeah.
So, yeah.
Did we get a couple of that after when we were on the tune-in?
I was going to use that one, but we actually did sell some Looney Tunes comics because of that.
Fair.
So that was positive. But I feel like if you sent a Saga graphic novel in, and even if she mentioned the store in a way that people could then track us down, which probably she wouldn't. She'd just be like, oh, thanks, Patrick.
Challengers Comics.
She wouldn't even say Challengers Comics.
I don't put Challengers. I got a box in the mail today.
Yeah.
And the name on the from address was somewhere back in her long ago.
Okay.
And I read that out loud and said, this box is from Jimmy P.S. Hayes. Without trying to get us sued.
Mm-hmm.
She came from somewhere back in her long ago.
I don't know what song that is.
Sentimental cause she started out to recreate what had yet to be created. Once in her life, she must have felt for her. Anyway, it's Doobie Brothers.
Oh, okay. Great.
Yeah. Song's What a Fool Believes.
Okay.
And inside of it was a birthday present, and that present was the newly released autobiography of Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers.
Oh, okay.
Written by Michael McDonald and Paul Reiser.
Wow.
Yeah.
Not mad about you, Paul Reiser.
Mad about you, Paul Reiser.
Not comic writer Paul Reiser.
Comic writer Paul Reiser. What if Aliens? Writer Paul Reiser.
Marvel writer Paul Reiser.
Yeah. Yeah, as soon as it said somewhere back in her long ago, like, this is from Jimmy. I don't know what this is. This is from Jimmy. And it tied into the gift really well.
That's really good that it tied in. That's very good. That's very good.
A+, Hayes. A+. I want to take a second to talk about a book that came out this week that I think is under a lot of people's radar. Now, we pushed Plastic heavy, and it was
Plastic Death and Dolls.
Death and Dolls, thank you. And it was the Challenger's Choice.
I only know it because I had to type it into the front page of our website.
It's
I had to look it up.
Very first image on our new credit card reading situation for Shopify. It's not doing well.
No. So I think I mentioned to you on Wednesday, the first Plastic graphic novel, of which Death and Dolls is both a prequel and a sequel to, is currently unavailable for us to reorder because of the switchover from Diamond
to Lunar
/Simon & Schuster. So we're out of stock on Plastic, and we haven't been able to get it for a few weeks. So that's not ideal. Like, we just got in Precious Metal a week ago, which is the long-awaited prequel / follow-up to Little Bird. So we ordered a bunch of copies of Little Bird to put right next to it so people could get some context on what they're reading and get the whole thing. I would have loved to do that for Plastic. Couldn't do it.
We've definitely sold Little Birds this week because of it.
Yeah, for sure. There's been a couple people who I've said, like, hey, this is a prequel / sequel, but, you know, you can be able to read it on their own. And they've gone like, yeah, all right, I'll give it a shot.
Yeah.
But it would be nice to, if they enjoyed it, then have them come back and say, hey, here's the $16 graphic novel that is the other part of the story, so you can catch up, but can't right now.
Yeah, I mean, if you Plastic Death and Dolls works because you want to learn more about Edwin and how he got to be who he is.
Right.
But if you don't know who he is,
right,
it's less interesting.
A little bit.
Anyway, that's not the book I want to talk about because that's a book we gave a lot of attention to and it's not quite connecting.
Correct.
But a book that may be under a lot of people's radar, and I didn't read it until this week, was Rifters. Rifters #1 from Image. Co-written by Brian Posehn.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot tell you who the other writer was, nor can I tell you the artist, but I can tell you that it is a hard sci-fi, time travel, buddy cop, action-adventure comedy, and it was very funny. It is to time travel, I think, what 8 Billion Genies is to wishing.
Oh.
And the concept is similar, is what if time travel becomes readily available, mass marketed, and sold to the public? What damage is done to the existing time stream when anybody can go forward and backward in time? there's a lot of setup as to how the world got to that point, but it's a little bit Chrononauts as far as people using the time stream to further their own ends, but it's a lot of it of like people just being like, I want to go watch Jesus be crucified, I want to watch Lincoln being shot in the theater, things like that, which are, what would you do with a time machine? I'm not asking you specifically.
Thank you, I appreciate that.
I'm just generalizing. I know you're in the middle of looking something up.
I was trying to find out if we can find the creative team for Rifters.
I do like that you're using the Challenger's website to do it. I don't like that you're not getting it.
No, I mean, the problem is, it's probably in our back end, but it's not. Here we go. I was looking for cover credits.
Yeah.
I thought it was Joe Troman. It is Joe Troman is the co-writer with Brian Posehn, and Chris Johnson is the artist.
And Joe Troman is the co-writer.
He is, yeah.
Okay.
I know he's done other stuff at...
But like, this is the first time Brian Posehn is writing a book that it's not with Rick Remender. It's not with Jerry Dugan.
Right.
And I feel like...
Holy Roller is the other one.
Oh, okay. Which is also co-written with a comedian.
Mm-hmm.
Go figure.
And also, apparently, a comic from Dark Horse?
I assume a Minor Threats book.
Oh, this is Spike Trotman.
That's just the way that works?
Yeah, exactly.
But I really enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. I like where the story's going. Like, they're really just getting to what the book's going to be out toward the end of the first issue. But it was kind of... I mean, I read it because of Brian Posehn, and sure. Brian Posehn's a friend of the store.
Grommet seems like it's doing well.
Yeah.
Which is
new printing is, yeah.
I was a little shocked. I think Grommet's was good, but Grommet's is also... There's a kind of like low-key stakes to certain books from Image that I think works against it as far as people getting excited. Like, I think people at Image, for readers, when they go to Image, they want a certain kind of high concept, a quick elevator pitch. So when it's just like, kids in the 1980s who were skateboarders is like, I mean, unless you're a kid from the 1980s or a skateboarder, which apparently there's plenty of.
Especially the Venn diagram circles crossing.
Yeah, I don't know that it sounds immediately like something that you need to pick up in a single issue format, but apparently people have, and that's great.
Yeah, I think people were, as far as recent Rick Remender books, people are a little bit more jazzed for this one than they were for Napalm Lullaby.
Yes, that's true.
Maybe more on a Sacrificer level.
Maybe. We'll have to see. It's only a 7-issue series, I think, so yeah. I don't think they need to worry about the sales drop of a longer running series.
So if you're interested in a fun time travel, action adventure, buddy cop comedy comic, you can head over to challengerscomics.com, search for Rifters #1, or check it out in the store next time you're in.
Yeah.
That was it was something that, again, I didn't read it until this week. I'm like, oh no, this is real fun.
Yeah.
And I had read the preview of Grommets beforehand and knew that was even like Grommets is my time period, but not my upbringing.
Sure. You weren't a West Coast skateboard kid?
You know what? I wasn't.
No, there's still time.
I did own a skateboard, but my skateboard was thin, like half the width of what you think of as a skateboard today.
Not like a board you really do tricks on.
Yeah.
Not really.
And I was not good at balancing on it.
No.
I mean, even
probably worse now.
At it now. Yeah. Thank you for getting there as well.
Yep.
Dal, what's your favorite manga?
Yotsuba and...
What's your favorite currently running manga?
Yotsuba's currently running.
Really? When's the next one?
Forever. It's going to run forever. One of the things, I don't want to put this on the record because then I feel like I'll have to do it because you'll bring it up again and I'll feel guilty if I haven't. My sort of New Year's resolution for next year
is to read a manga into your phone so people can auditorily follow you.
People are going to hear Kamen Rider Kuga. Look forward to it. Maybe, but no, is to read a lot more manga in 2025. I plan on trying.
I like to give yourself 6 months to get there.
Oh yeah. But it's something I think about a lot because it's definitely a deficiency in my comics knowledge is kind of the current manga. And it's the thing that kind of haunts me every single Christmas when family members come in looking to get like a manga. And it's like my child, sibling,
partner,
grandmother, dog, really likes manga. What's good right now? And I'm kind of like, here are the big hits, and I don't know which one they're going to like.
Have you read Dragon Ball? Not Z, just the regular.
Oh, they like Chainsaw Man? Well, what would they think about a small child in Japan and her neighbors and the tiny adventures they go on in their neighborhood? How about that? Does that sound good?
Does
that sound like Chainsaw Man?
The kids really love Lupin 3.
So yeah, that's a thing that I think about almost daily is like, I gotta do that. So it might not even wait until next year. It might be a thing of like trying to find time soon to just like, I gotta start getting through My Hero Academia, Spy Family, Chainsaw Man, Kaiju number 8, One Punch Man, One Piece, and then other stuff that's new and coming out so that I at least have some sort of grounding. So when someone's like, hey, I'm enjoying this huge hit series, I can go, oh, you might also like whatever, which is our entire job. And there's half of our graphic novels that I can't do that for because I don't read that stuff. I am aware of it in the sense of like, I know from solicitations and I know from what we've stocked and I know from what we've sold, but I don't have a personal investment in any of it. And I should. That's my job. So I want to fix that.
Well, I can tell you that Samantha was very, very excited to get her Kaiju number 8 vinyl figure today.
Yeah. Is she going to want at least one more of them?
Just a very basic,
if not 3 more of them,
Bandai figure.
I have one of those, not the Kaiju number 8, but I have that specific Bandai vinyl figure thing. A customer, Mike, and his spouse, I believe, had picked it up for me from a Bandai store in Japan of Kamen Rider Geats. Well, vinyl Geats figure.
They're all geeks still.
Patrick.
And Sam had said that while she much prefers manga for all these properties, she gets excited when there's an anime because she knows once there's an anime, then there's product.
Oh my God, yes.
Like
that's when the floodgates
they're not going to make figures out of a manga, but they're going to make figures for an anime.
Yeah, I mean,
so now, like, even though this is a rudimentary, just 2 points of articulation.
Sure, and they have so many more Kaiju number 8 things. There's like fig arts of different characters.
But that's the point. Like now, there's floodgates are open.
That's one of the nice things about Yotsuba is that it's unlike Azumanga Daioh that became an animated thing. Yotsuba hasn't. It's just a comic book. But there's still merch for it. There's multiple Nendoroid figures. There's a bunch of like vinyl figures that have been done. It's pretty cool that they've managed to do that for just a comic book.
Do you think it has anything to do with Danbo being an Amazon spokesperson?
Well, Danbo wasn't initially an Amazon spokesperson, but eventually became one. And no, I don't think it has anything to do with that because they've done a bunch of Danbo stuff.
They've done like hundreds of variations of him.
But like they've also done Yotsuba. They've done other characters. Not a lot of them, but mostly Yotsuba. But like they've 2 different Yotsuba Nendoroids of just her in like regular summer clothes and then her winter clothes. And then they've done is that a Mafex figure? I can't remember what that is. It's a Revoltech figure. Which is a little bit more articulated and has like some other fun accessories and is more in the style of the comic book.
Well, regardless of what you say or believe, Deadboat is a robot. This episode almost did not happen. We were beyond the point in the week where we record. In fact, we're recording this well after the Patreon version goes up online.
So far after.
But I will specifically say that this got done so Heidi has something to listen to in the car tomorrow. So anyone who's listening, you can thank Heidi that this episode exists. And I guess thanks for listening.
You keep reading comics.
You didn't even say happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Patrick.
Thanks.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. And help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.